On cue, apparently, I'm supposed to introduce our next speaker, which is also going to be the next governor of South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lieutenant Governor Kevin Bryant.
Good morning. Isn't it a great day to be in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? Wasn't it a beautiful sunrise? You know what I saw? I saw President Trump out on the ocean walking on water. But you know what MSNBC said? The president can't swim. Isn't that how they portray every good thing he does? That's the fake news that we can just get used to. And I also saw, on a serious note, that the rhinocrats in Washington are more interested in funding illegal immigrants than protecting us. That is very disappointing, very disappointing. I'm Kevin Bryant. I'm your Lieutenant Governor, and it is an honor to be here this morning. I want to thank Joe and Jerry and Robin and Dreamer for all your hard work, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here this morning. As you just saw, we have a great campaign manager in James Epley. We also have Tori Beth Black. Stand up, Tori Beth. She's working on our campaign. And I want to introduce to you the greatest supporter you could ever have, and that's my wife. Stand up, Ann. If you hadn't had a chance to meet her, please do. And you're going to wonder what everybody thinks when they meet her. What in the world was she thinking when she said, I do, 29 years ago? I'm also a pharmacist. So, Joe, before your group, you have a politician and a drug dealer. But I'm just like you. I'm a conservative activist. I've worked for candidates. I've gone door to door. I've been party chairman. I've been disappointed by electing so-called Republicans, and as soon as they get elected, they hold hands with the Democrats. We've seen it over and over, and we don't want to see that again. I was honored to represent South Carolina District 3 in the South Carolina Senate since 2004. And then on January 25th, I became South Carolina's 92nd Lieutenant Governor. And in July, we entered the race to become the next governor of South Carolina. I want everybody to think back before Christmas when you were a teenager, what were you thinking about? I was probably thinking about that brand new car that my parents never got me. But let me tell you an inspiring story. I met with a young man before Christmas. His name is Jacory McCall. He's a senior at Dillon High School. You know what Jacory was doing before Christmas? He organized handwritten Christmas cards to our deployed military. And at that time, he had 1,600 handwritten Christmas cards to our deployed military. That was inspiring. And I would like to ask that if there's any veterans or deployed military or first responders, please raise your hand. Let's give them our thanks. You know, because of our military, because of our first responders, we enjoy the freedoms that we have. Think about the poor people in North Korea. If this meeting were in North Korea, every single one of us would be arrested. So let's appreciate our veterans and our first responders for the freedoms that we enjoy. Let's shift gears a little bit to South Carolina. You know, our founders envisioned 3 distinct branches of government: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. However, in South Carolina, unfortunately, there's only one branch of government. That is the legislative branch. We are known nationally as the legislative state. We have the weakest executive branch in the country, and we have way too much control of the judicial branch by this legislative state. And because of this legislative state, this is why we see the trough dwellers and the tax collectors spend your money like it belongs to them. Your government needs to be returned to you, the taxpayer. This legislative state is a breeding ground for corruption. We have had a state grand jury investigate a political corruption probe for over 5 years. The FBI has been in South Carolina close to a year. We've seen indictments, we've seen convictions, we've seen suspensions and removals from office, and now we're seeing cooperating witnesses. We don't know what's next. But let me tell you what we do need to do. We need to instill the fair tax in South Carolina and eliminate the income tax. When you talk about eliminating the income tax and a tax collector comes back to you and says, well, how do we pay for it? How about let's pay for it with freedom? How about that? Anytime a politician, their first response is, how do we pay for a tax cut? Or how do we pay for elimination? You know what that tells you? That tells you that they are convinced that the money in your pocket belongs to them before they can get their greedy hands on it. Don't ever accept that for a reason. We need to eliminate the income tax. We need to defund Planned Parenthood. Any organization that chops up babies and sells their parts on the internet shouldn't get a single cent of taxpayer dollars. We need a total repeal of the Baseload Review Act immediately. If we want to fix our problems with energy, we need to have consumer choice. Aren't you a believer in the free market? You know, in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvanians with their gas and their electricity, they have 39 options. The free market will fix our energy problems, not government. So don't trust what the politicians are telling you. We need to end the crippling effects of government regulation on small business. We've heard how President Trump has eliminated regulation on business, and we need to do the same thing here in South Carolina. I'm a firm believer in the free market. That's the best regulator. We need to expand school choice. Your tax dollars, you as parents should decide where your tax dollars go. If your child's needs aren't being met in the public sector, you need to be able to take your tax dollars and meet the needs of your child. We also need to rein in Medicaid spending. You know, when I was first elected in the Senate, Medicaid spending was in the neighborhood of 15%. Now, it's over a third of our budget. I would like for you to check out something we're unveiling today to the Palmetto State, and that is our contract with South Carolina. And it involves a lot of things that I'm speaking to you about this morning. We need your help. We need your help in dismantling the legislative state and restoring integrity in South Carolina. We need your help in dismantling the legislative control of the Department of Transportation. I got news for you, folks. The largest tax increase in the history of South Carolina is not going to fix your roads. You know why? Because we don't know who to hold accountable for our roads. How many people have seen a football team successfully use 2 starting quarterbacks? Well, my alma mater just saw Alabama use it, but we'll all admit that 2 starting quarterbacks rarely works. The Department of Transportation, the DOT, is like a football team with 3 head coaches and 9 starting quarterbacks. We don't know who to hold accountable. So this contract involves making the DOT a cabinet agency so you know who to hold accountable. Also in this contract with South Carolina, we need your help. We need your help in dismantling the rhinocrat majority in Columbia, and let's have registration by party to keep. We need to keep counterfeit conservatives and Democrats from running under our brand. And by registration by party, we can do that. I am looking forward to being the next governor of South Carolina. I'd love to ask for your consideration. Check out kevinbryant.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. And I'll give you 3 distinctives to consider. 1, I'm a small business owner. 2 is I'm a healthcare provider as a pharmacist. And 3, I have a 12-year record to back up everything you're going to hear out of this campaign. Let's talk about the integrity of South Carolina. We still say yes, sir, and no, ma'am. We still pull over for funerals. Gentlemen still open doors for ladies. We've seen Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Matthew, the ice storms, the 1,000-year flood. We didn't see looting. We didn't see gouging. We saw neighbors helping neighbors. That's a true reflection of the integrity of South Carolina. Not long ago, we saw the Charleston Massacre, where 9 innocent worshipers were killed. We saw family members from one of the murder victims show up at that racist trial just a few days later, and they offered their forgiveness and shared the love of Christ with that racist murderer. That truly reflects the integrity of South Carolina. Unfortunately, that integrity is not reflected in your government in Columbia. And I ask for your help to restore that integrity. In 1968, one of my heroes, and I'm sure he's one of yours, Ronald Reagan said back then, and I think it is fair to say it's true now, it is time for choosing. God bless South Carolina, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.